Hi everyone, this is a short video explaining what the pump room is all about. Please don't be intimidated. You don't have to be an engineer to understand what the pump room does. It's simple. It sucks all the water out of the pool, cleans it, and pumps it back in on a continuous basis. Sometimes you need to add some chemicals in the pump room, so make sure you wear a safety mask, safety glasses, and gloves contained in the USA Pools Chemical Cleanup Kit. Remember everyone, when you're talking about chemicals, be careful, and if you have questions, you can easily refer to the MSDS sheets in the operations manual. The operational instructions for the filtration system are also at your fingertips. They're located right in the pool operations manual. Don't hesitate to check the manuals. They're right there for you to refer to. After you clock into the pool, go into the pump room and make sure everything is running properly.
First thing you want to do is you want to hear for everything. You want to make sure that everything sounds right. Then the next thing you want to do is you want to smell. If you have any off smells, if you have any burning smells or any type of sensations that you smell that just aren't right, as well as touch. You can walk by a motor. If the motor or a pump is overheating, that's something you'll be able to notice when you walk by and you're doing a visual inspection.
In this pump room, you can see some water on the floor. Does that mean there's been a leak?
In working it with a pump room and cleaning out hair lint baskets and things of that nature, you are going to get splash out on the floor, but whenever you walk into your pump room in the morning when it hasn't been touched for a 8 to 12 hour period, you want to make sure that your floor is dry. If your floor is not dry, that means you have a leak in your pump room, and that's something that you need to report to your manager about.
Again, you don't have to be an expert, and your pool's pump room will look different from this one, but they are all similar. In this pump room, the big ball-like containers are simply like big sand buckets at the beach. They're filled with sand. Water is pumped right through the sand and cleaned, and then pumped back out into the pool. The pressure gauge at the top tells you how much pressure is in that filter. Your supervisor will tell you what the pressure should be. If it's not where it's supposed to be, when you check it, there's probably something wrong. The pressure gauge is important. Check it and know what is normal at your pool. If the pressure is high, your pool filter probably needs to be backwashed. On this filter, it's written right here. If the pressure is over 15, you need to backwash. What does backwashing mean? Well, it's simple.
Backwashing is simply reversing the flow in the filter. Okay. Strictly only in the filter. So now, instead of the water going in the top of the filter and coming out the bottom of the filter when it's being filtered, it is now going in the bottom of the filter and rising up through the sand, and all the debris that's caught at the top of the sand is rising up, now coming out the top of the filter, and instead of going back to the pool, it is going out the waistline and we're throwing it away.
So how do you backwash? Well, that depends on your pool, but no matter what system you have, never do any work on that pump room without turning off the breakers or flipping the power switch off. The principles of backwashing are the same in all systems. Let's give you a quick lesson on backwashing. You can refer to this as often as you like, and remember, it's not very complicated. You're going to turn some valves to backwash, but never turn any valve in that pump room until you have turned off the power by either flipping the breaker or flipping the switch. Make sure you turn off the power before you start.
Now we're going to backwash. What we do, first thing we do is we go when we flip the motors off. Once we flip the motors off, we can then proceed to the backwash position. We take our multi-port, we depress the handle in a clockwise position to backwash. When we're in the backwash position, we then go back to our breaker or our switch that turns the motor back on. We turn the motor back on and allow it to backwash. We backwash for approximately 2 minutes, or if you have a backwash sight glass, which is behind the multi-port, once the water turns from a dirty color water to a clear, clean looking water, then you're done backwashing. When you're done backwashing, you go back over to that same switch that turned the motor off, you turn it off. Once you've turned the motor off, you come back to your multi-port and you switch it from backwash to rinse. To rinse, then you go back to your breaker. You're going to flip your breaker back on, rinse for 10 seconds, flip your breaker back off. You're going to depress your handle in a clockwise position again and go back to filter. When you're done, when you've put the multi-port back on filter, you're going to go back to your breaker, turn the breaker or switch back to on and allow your pumps to run as they normally would.
Remember, all pump rooms are different. Some will have this T-handled backwash valve.
It's very simple. In the up position is on filter. This will be hooked up to another filter, sand filter. In the down position, that is backwash. Backwash, normal filtration. What I want you to take away from this lesson is before you move any position of any valve, you want to make sure you shut the motors off.
After backwashing, it's always good to bleed the air out of your system. Air is bad. Listen. You simply turn the valve at the top of the filter. The air will come out first. Once a steady stream of water comes out, you've gotten the air out of the system. That's a good thing. Now let's take a look at the heart of any pump room, the pump. In some cases, pump rooms have several pumps. They are just like your heart. Liquid is sucked in one side and pushed out the other. Simple.
This is the pump. The whole section from where the plumbing starts and where the motor ends. The whole thing is considered the pump. You have the back part, which is the motor. This is kind of like the mouth of the system. This is what's going to, if you look at a pump room like a human body, you've got a human body in here looking for something to drink. The drink is the pool. This motor is what's going to do the sucking through the straws. And then you have the volute housing, which in this section here, it holds the impeller, which is kind of like on an airplane. It's the thing that makes the movement. And this is what moves the water through the system. The black bucket, this is the hair lint pot. This is what is going to catch all your debris. This is very vital that this piece here is always in proper condition, because you don't want any breaks in your hair lint basket, because if any breaks, anything major and large get through the hair lint basket, it can get into the impeller, and that's spinning at a high rate. So you want to make sure that this is always setting in there correctly, it's always flush down to the bottom, and it's always clean. This is one that needs to be clean. And the general rule in cleaning these is it's not fun, but you dig your hand down in there, and you can use a wire brush if necessary, and you throw all your debris in the trash can.
Clean the hair lint buckets out every day. Remember, they might not look like this one at your pool, but each one will have a lid on it. Your supervisor will teach you how to take that lid off and put it back on. There'll be a gasket on the lid. A gasket is just like a rubber ring that stops leaks.
If this is missing, if you're trying to put your lid on without this gasket, the rubber band, the pump will not prime up and you will have issues. So when dealing with any lid, whether the lid be of this nature, small or larger, there has to be a gasket in place so that you do not have any leaks of air into your system.
Again, don't be intimidated. All this information will become second nature to you. Now let's show you what kind of valves you will run into. Valves just help direct the flow of water. This is a gate valve. Turn it clockwise to turn it on, counterclockwise to turn it off. The next valve is called a butterfly valve. It looks like this.
This is a butterfly valve. You're going to see these mostly on your intake and in your pump room. This is open, this is closed. If you picture a disc inside of this valve setting, you just picture a disc that runs alongside the length of this valve. So what that would mean is water can flow on either side of this disc. When we shut the valve, the disc is like this inside the pipe. Therefore, it's blocking any water flow.
Here's a shot of multiple butterfly valves at a different pool. They're clearly labeled so you know what part of the pool the butterfly valves operate. Next is a ball valve. Right now it's closed. You just turn it to open it or close it. It's very simple. Next is a Jandy valve, a little more complicated. It operates opposite to other valves, and it has this little locking screw on the top.
Before you maneuver the valve, you want to make sure that this locking screw is loosened up so you can move it. So I loosen the screw, I'm going to close this valve, and when I'm done with its use, I'm going to tighten the screw so that this valve cannot be turned. In this position, this is closed. In this position, this is open. So the Jandy valve is opposite of the butterfly valve in operation.
The final valve is a big one called a gang lever. Usually it's on bigger pipes. One of the things you'll be asked to do every morning is record the readings of the flow meter in your chemical cleaning log. This tells how many gallons or liters per minute you are pumping through your system. We need to know this because we have to filter all of the water in the pool over a set period of time. That way we make sure the pool is staying clean.
This is the flow meter. This gauge here is the life of your pool. This gauge here will tell you if your pool is dying or if it's living. It is very important to know what your reading is at all time, because without knowing what your reading is, you don't know if you're filtering your pool properly. You won't know if where your flow meter is unless you look for it. Sometimes it's not in the most convenient of places. Here at this facility, our flow meter is behind the filter and behind all of this equipment here.